Thank you for joining me for another rapid fire FAQ session. Today we'll be answering the question, when is the right time to apply for a flight attendant position with major airlines like United, Delta, American Airlines, or even Southwest? This is a very common question for people who are finishing school or planning their next career move. The reality is that airline hiring timelines don't always line up with personal schedules, graduation dates, or ideal timing. So in this video, we're going to break down exactly how hiring timelines work, when applications usually open, and what strategies candidates should use when deciding to apply. Great, so let's start with section number 1, where I clarify the question. So somebody wrote and posted a very common question and a very good question. I'm a college senior set to graduate in May and plan to apply for flight attendant positions with United, Southwest, American, and Delta. Since I know these airlines don't always open their applications at the same time, I'm wondering how the timing usually works. If I submit applications around late April, what kind of hiring timeline should I expect? Would it be better to apply sooner if opportunities open earlier, or is it smarter to wait until closer to graduation? So to answer this question, let's move on to section number 2, the reality. The reality is you don't control the timeline. The first thing graduating students need to understand is that you don't control when airlines hire. Airlines open and close flight attendant applications based on their staffing needs, not based on college graduation timelines. Right now, for example, United Airlines is one of the few mainline airlines with applications open, and they even extended their application window through the end of March, okay? So for example, a Reddit commentator wrote the following. So as I mentioned, I usually go on forums and communities to gather what other candidates who have applied for flight attendant positions have written, and so that way what you can do is you can get a great perspective from people who have actually applied to major airlines, okay? So a Reddit commentator wrote, "You're kind of at the mercy of the airlines because your timeline of when you want to apply may not match up when airlines actually open applications. So this means if you're planning to apply in April after graduation, there's no guarantee the airline you want will actually be hiring at that moment. Some airlines open applications for only a few days, while others leave them open for weeks or months." So what's the key takeaway from this? Apply whenever applications open, not when it's most convenient. Waiting for the perfect time could mean missing the hiring window entirely. Section number 3, when airlines usually open applications. Well, hiring timelines change every year. There is a pattern many candidates have noticed. Most major US airlines tend to open flight attendant applications during the fall hiring cycle. This usually happens between September and December. This is when airlines prepare staffing for the following year. One Reddit commentator wrote, "I applied during the fall cycle and got my CJO." For those of you that don't know, CJO stands for conditional job offer. But the pattern is that most popular airlines like United, Delta, American, Envoy, Endeavor, Southwest, they won't hire again till either the fall or the winter, okay? So keep an eye out. You can find the flight attendant positions available for these airlines by just visiting their websites, going to the career section, and then all you need to do is just narrow down by cabin crew positions or even flight attendant opportunities. So in terms of answering this question, if you're graduating in May, there's a good chance that the next hiring wave for some airlines won't even happen until the fall. Okay, so keep that in mind. So if you graduate in May, it's more than likely that these airlines will open up the next hiring cycle in fall. So applying months before you graduate actually does make sense. So section number 4, here's also something very important to keep in mind. The hiring timeline can take months. Another important factor is how long the hiring process can take. From the time you apply to the time you actually start training, the process can take anywhere from 2 to 6 months. Typical stages usually include the online application, assessments, virtual or pre-recorded interviews, in-person interviews, a conditional job offer, background checks, and finally a training start date. One Reddit commentator even said, "I would apply ASAP." This process can take months from application to training. However, another Reddit member shared a different experience and said, "I applied, got a CJO, which is conditional job offer, and left for training in about a month and a half." So the timeline can vary depending on the airline and the hiring cycle, okay? Great, let's move on to section number 5. So let's just say you're someone who's in school right now. So if you're still finishing your degree, applying early is usually not a problem. Airlines understand that candidates may have scheduling conflicts. In many cases, candidates can request a later training date, delay training until after graduation, or choose a training class that fits their schedule. This means you don't necessarily need to wait until graduation to apply. In fact, applying earlier may actually work in your favor, because by the time you move through the hiring process and receive a training date, you may already be done with school. So let's look at a United Airlines example. United Airlines is a great example of how unpredictable hiring timelines can be. According to recent discussions in aviation communities, United is hiring aggressively right now, processing applications faster than usual and even extending their application window. One commentator wrote, "I applied to United thinking the process would take several months, but it actually moved way faster than I expected. Within a few days of submitting my application, I got the assessment, and shortly after that, the pre-recorded interview invite. About 2 weeks later, I was already scheduling my face-to-face interview. From the time I applied to getting my conditional job offer was only about a month." A lot of people told me the airline hiring process can take months, so I was honestly surprised how quickly everything happened this cycle. So in section 7, I just want to discuss the best strategy for college seniors. So this is really targeting the person who asked the question and you college seniors who are actually going to be graduating very soon. Here's the best strategy if you're still in college and planning to apply for a flight attendant job. First, apply whenever an airline opens applications. Second, track airline hiring cycles. Third, start preparing early. Fourth, be flexible with training dates. Many airlines will work with candidates who are finishing school. The most successful candidates are the ones who stay ready and apply quickly when opportunities appear. Now, I was able to track down this Reddit commentator right here. I was a senior in college when I started applying for flight attendant jobs. At first, I thought I should wait until after graduation, but a lot of people in aviation forums told me to apply as soon as applications opened because the hiring process can take months. I ended up applying during the fall hiring cycle while I was still in school. By the time I finished the interviews and received my conditional job offer, I was only a few weeks away from graduating. The timing actually worked out perfectly. My advice to anyone still in college is don't wait for the perfect moment. Just apply when the airline opens applications and start preparing early. Great, I hope that you enjoyed this quick rapid fire FAQ video where I answered the question, when is the best time to apply for flight attendant positions if you're in school and you're graduating or just looking to change careers. Now, if there's any questions that you want answered, don't forget to post them in the comment section below, and I will do my best to answer them. And I'll also post an update of when there is a video coming out answering those questions, okay? Now, I've also created an exclusive flight attendant hiring guide where I go through the interview questions and answers for 15 of the major airlines within the United States. Within this guide, you'll also find what hiring managers are looking for within a candidate when they're looking to hire someone for a flight attendant position, okay? You can find a link to that exclusive hiring guide in the description below.